It's a topic that is of interest to everyone. This idea of, is there life beyond Earth? There are a lot of movies about it, a lot of books, and it's become so much part of our culture and it's a fascinating topic to think about. We hope that they enjoy their experience. Hopefully they learn a little something. And our programs, our exhibitions, our collections, we just hope that it sparks some curiosity.
For the eyes of the world now look into space, to the moon, and to the planets beyond.
This is The Space Shot, episode 444, Life Beyond Earth, a Linda Hall Library exhibition. I'm John Mulnix. Today we're headed to the Linda Hall Library in Kansas City, Missouri to chat with Eric Ward about an exhibition that explores a topic which has fascinated humanity since our earliest ancestors looked up at the sky. Unfortunately, this exhibit will be on display for just a few more weeks, but there will be a digital version available at the Linda Hall Library website in the future. I'll be sure to update the show notes with that information once it becomes available. On a personal note, I'm going to have to get back to the library at some point here soon. There's just so many books to read and so little time, so hopefully I can make it happen. Anyways, I sat down with Eric to explore how humans have asked these big questions since the dawn of our time. Are we alone? From centuries-old rare books to Percival Lowell's Martian canals and sketches of those canals to today's discoveries of strange new worlds, Eric and I dig into how culture, science, and imagination come together in the search for life beyond Earth. When you first walk into the exhibition, one of the first things that you see is a giant question on one of the walls. The question is, where is everybody? That's the Fermi paradox. If the universe is so vast, why haven't we found any signs of extraterrestrial civilizations? Way back in episode 29 of the podcast, I talked about this very topic, so here's a quick primer on the subject. During the 1950s, while working at the Los Alamos National Laboratory, Enrico Fermi laid out this paradox. First, there's billions of stars in our galaxy that are similar in age and older than our sun. Second, there's a high probability that a percentage of these stars will have Earth-like planets that could eventually be capable of developing intelligent life. Even more we're finding today. Third, some intelligent life forms could develop the ability to travel across the galaxy. Finally, even at near relativistic speeds, the speed of light, the Milky Way could be crossed in millions of years compared to the billions of years that planets have been around. With these arguments laid out, Fermi's reasoning is that the Earth should have already been contacted by alien visitors. But there's a lack of evidence to show that we've ever met with extraterrestrial visitors, and that's what led Fermi to ask, where is everybody?
I'm Eric Ward, Vice President for Programs and Education here at the Linda Hall Library. I've been here 19 years now, and I'm co-curator of the Life Beyond Earth exhibition, and my main job is planning our public programs and our education initiatives here at the library. But over the years, I've also curated or co-curated several exhibitions on a variety of topics, from building of the Panama Canal to history of early aviation and the science of Apollo in 2019 for the 50th anniversary of the first lunar landing.
Long before advanced telescopes and robotic spacecraft, philosophers and scientists have already been asking these big questions. And the idea that countless planets might exist, maybe even with their own civilizations, was known as the plurality of worlds.
And that was an interesting thing. That was one thing that I learned a great deal about. This idea of scientists thinking about life beyond Earth, the possibility of life beyond Earth, has been around for centuries. It's known in the history of science as the plurality of worlds, but we have 16th, 17th century books on display in the exhibit that talk about that very subject, about the possibility of life elsewhere in the universe.
And just tell us what we're looking at right now.
And this Fontenelle book from 1686. It's in French, and the title of it is The Plurality of Worlds. And there's a wonderful frontispiece, fold-out illustration of the known universe at that time. And it has the planets from Mercury up to Saturn, and that's what was known. And the illustration depicts the Cartesian view of the universe. Descartes believed that the universe was filled with swirling vortices. And I always give the example, at least for people in the Midwest here, in the fall when the leaves are falling, and sometimes you see the wind pick up some leaves and swirl them around. That was kind of similar to what Descartes believed was that made up the universe.
Okay.
And it's one of my favorite, if not the favorite illustration.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Exhibition, and it's in remarkable condition.
Okay.
Again, from 1686. And of course, paper back then was made from linen, usually. So it wasn't until the mid-19th century that they started making paper from wood pulp. And of course, wood pulp's acidic, and we know that from newspapers, how quickly they turn you red down and degrade. But this paper, if you come here to the library to look at our rare books, you'll notice that the paper's in remarkable shape for 400, some of our books 500 years old.
That curiosity carried into the modern era when astronomer Frank Drake proposed an equation to estimate the number of civilizations in our galaxy that might be broadcasting signals. What began as imagination was slowly becoming science.
So we have those rare books from our History of Science collection. We have the first publication of the Drake equation, where Frank Drake first published his now famous equation to determine how many civilizations are out there in the universe that could possibly be transmitting signals. And he presented that first at a conference, and then a few years later it was published. It's not much to look at, it's just little nuggets like that are here in our collection.
The Drake equation is one tool that's been used in thought experiments for decades to estimate the number of potential civilizations in our galaxy and in the universe. More recently, other researchers have proposed updates to this now famous equation. And I'm not going to read the equation here because math was never my strong suit, but I'll link to it in some of the articles in the show notes. What stands out to me about this first edition and other books generally and a lot of the collection at the Linda Hall Library is the importance of literature, especially physical copies, in our culture. In Building a Bridge to the 18th Century, author Neil Postman writes, quote, "The act of reading a book is the best example of distance learning possible. For reading not only triumphs over the limitations of space and co-presence, but of time as well. That's why I love places like the Linda Hall Library. Books can help us transcend the limits of time and space in a way that can't be altered, like a website or a blog or a news post or even a podcast." And that's enough meta-analysis for this episode. So let's get back to exoplanets. For decades, we listened to the stars and searched the stars without finding proof of other worlds. But in 1995, everything changed when astronomers discovered the first confirmed planet orbiting another star. Since then, NASA just announced last week, actually, at the time of recording this here, that there are more than 6,000 confirmed exoplanets and thousands more candidates. I went back to my episode notes from 2017 when I released episode 29 of The Space Shot, and at that point there were only 3,492 confirmed exoplanets. So we've nearly doubled the number of known exoplanets in the last 8 years. And the frontiers of what we're finding out about our place in the solar system continue to spread.
You know, news about life beyond Earth was kind of in the air. It has been recently. It's always a news topic, but you know, with the UAPs, the new name for UFOs, you know, that was going on with NASA and the NASA study team, and so we just thought it'd be a great topic to explore.
Yeah. Well, like kind of fortuitously, last week the news from Mars.
There might be
Yeah.
life on Mars, yeah. So it is incredible to think about. You know, for so long, all that we've known is just about us here on Earth, and you know, it's incredible to think about. Even microbial life on another planet, that's
Still life.
that's big news. It's still life. You know, as you know, there's the Carl Sagan quote, or was in the movie Contact. You know, if it's just us, I'll paraphrase it. If it's just us in a universe, it's just an awful big waste of space, and that's true. So, and it's you know, also, it's been a scientific topic of study for centuries, really, and we have a lot of material in our collection to talk about it and interpret for the exhibition.
And Eric's right. Finding microbes on Mars would be transformative. It's incredible how many discoveries we're making right now that are often even stranger than we could have imagined. The James Webb Space Telescope directly imaged TWA-7b, a Saturn-mass planet, and this is the smallest world ever captured this way, which is incredible to think about, the advancements in telescopes and how we're going to be able to peer into these worlds, or at these worlds, in the coming decades. Another planet, BD 054868AB, is a planet that's disintegrating into a trail of dust, kind of like a comet. In that recent article announcing that there's been 6,000 exoplanets confirmed, NASA notes that, quote, this milestone comes 30 years after the first exoplanet was discovered around a star similar to our sun in 1995. Although researchers think that there are billions of planets in the Milky Way, finding them remains a challenge. In addition to discovering many individual planets with fascinating characteristics as the total number of known exoplanets climbs, scientists are able to see how the general planet population compares to the planets of our own solar system. I think it's incredible that we live in a time where we're finding things about exoplanets that show that they're more diverse and unexpected than even Percival Lowell could have imagined with his Martian canals. Speaking of Martians,
one of the inspirations for putting this exhibition on, Life Beyond Earth, was a conversation we had with some folks at the Truman Presidential Library who mentioned that they had some material in their collection related to Roswell and the kind of the modern UFO phenomenon, which we have a section about that in the exhibition. And it just got us to thinking that, you know, it's a topic that is of interest to everyone. You know, this idea of, is there life beyond Earth? It's, you know, there are a lot of movies about it, a lot of books, and it's become so much part of our culture and it's a fascinating topic to think about. So we thought, this is a great time to do something like this. We had never done this topic before for an exhibition, and we thought now was a great time.
from Roswell to UFOs, or now UAPs, our fascination with the unknown has always run alongside scientific research. This exhibit embraces that history, from written works on flying saucers to Project Blue Book case files.
My favorite things that we have on display in the exhibition are the items related to the Percival Lowell's belief in life on Mars and what he thought were canals purposely built canals on a drying planet that the Martians built the canals to draw water from the poles as the planet was drying up for their survival. And we have just some wonderful items in the collection from Lowell that are on display. We don't have a digital version of the exhibition online yet, but we will have very soon. And all of our rare books and material on display have been digitized. If you go to the library catalog, lindahall.org, you search for Percival Lowell, you'll see many of his works freely available in a digitized version.
Percival Lowell believed those dark lines on Mars were canals built by an advanced civilization fighting to survive. Today we know better, but his maps and books on display at the Linda Hall Library are physical reminders of how deeply people have longed to not be alone.
If you are a curious person interested in science, science broadly defined, then this is a place for you. We are, you mentioned we're tucked into campus. We are an independent research library, so although the University of Missouri Kansas City campus surrounds us, we're independent from the university. We're great neighbors with the university of the faculty, students. We collaborate on a lot of events. I point out the distinction that we're not part of UMKC because we are open to the public. You don't have to be a student or a professor or work for the university to use us. We are open to the public. Linda Hall and her husband Herbert left their property and some money to create the library. And one thing they both put in their wills was that we were to be freely available to the public. So anyone can come through our doors. Our exhibitions are free. Almost all of our public programs are free as well. And it's free to use the collection. If you live in the Kansas City Metro, you can get a library card. We operate much like a public library that you'd be familiar with, that you could check out books and come here and study and just use the collection. And we have over 1.5 million volumes. We're the world's largest independent science library. I think we have a little something for everybody. And you mentioned the Arboretum. We're on a 14-acre urban arboretum. It's just a great place to take a stroll through nature, and all of our trees and plants are labeled, so you can learn a little something about identifying trees and plants out there as well. But if you don't want to do that, it's just a great place to reconnect with nature. You may not be a scientist or engineer, but science touches everybody's lives daily. And I think the more people are exposed to that, they'll learn a little something. Broadly speaking, our exhibitions, public programs, really everything we do, our collection, is to deepen humanity's understanding and appreciation of science and its integral role in shaping our world.
The Linda Hall Library is more than just a place with rare books and exhibitions. It's a place open to everyone, free of charge, and dedicated to curiosity. While my wife and daughter explored the Arboretum outside, I was interviewing Eric. After that, we were able to stroll around together, and we both just were kind of staggered at the extent of the collection and just the incredible campus where the Linda Hall Library is at. I know while I was looking through the collection, I found about a dozen books or so that I'm going to have to read over the coming months. So thank you to the Linda Hall Library for that.
Our collections, our exhibitions, programming, and other public engagement initiatives are meant to inspire curiosity, innovation, and cultural engagement with science. We would just love to be in a world in which science is celebrated as a vital part of our histories, our lives, and our future. It's certainly becoming more and more important in the world that science is celebrated. So our exhibitions, our Life Beyond Earth, and our future exhibitions are meant to, certainly attract an audience, but also to just deepen that appreciation of science and spark that curiosity and maybe they'll come and check out a book. You mentioned you have some books you'd like to see, and that's what we're looking for. You know, whether you come here for a program to look through the exhibition or to study or whatever the reason, we just hope that people continue to be engaged with the library. Well, we have Life Beyond Earth ending October 11th. We'll have a new acquisitions exhibition in our main gallery, and that will display material from our collection that's been acquired in the past year or so.
Okay.
That'll include some wonderful rare books and then other material from our collection. Our next major exhibition is titled Alchemy of Knowledge, and that will open in March 2026. There's a subtitle to it. I think it's From Shakespeare to AI. The exact wording may change. The exhibition will start in the 16th and 17th centuries when, you know, people believed in the supernatural, dragons, mermaids, unicorns. And then there was a shift with, you know, Francis Bacon and the rise of empiricism and the scientific method. And Shakespeare will be kind of the unifying theme throughout the exhibition. As Shakespeare was writing his plays and producing his plays around this same time frame. And then we're also going to bring it up to date with AI and how AI today is kind of looked at like a supernatural thing. And do we trust it? Is it going to take our jobs? Where's it going? So we see some connections between kind of the angst that was going on in the world in the 16th, 17th centuries and today with a lot of the fear and worry about AI. And so we want to cover both spectrums, 16th, 17th centuries, and then kind of what we're dealing with today with AI.
If you ever get the chance to go to Kansas City, I strongly recommend that you check out the Linda Hall Library. There's always something new there for exhibits, so please do yourself a favor and check it out. As we end, take a moment to think about that Carl Sagan quote from Contact that Eric had mentioned. The universe is a pretty big place. If it's just us, it seems like an awful waste of space. I don't know about you, but I definitely think there's something out there. That's it for this episode. Coming up soon, I've got a 5-part series called The Lunar Era, which explores humanity's relationship with our closest celestial neighbor, the moon. I'd love it if you could leave a review or rating for this episode in your podcast app of choice. Please tell your friends, family, coworkers, enemies, anyone who likes podcasts about the show. I've got some incredible episodes coming up, and I hope to share these stories with as many people as possible. If you've got questions, send a message to john@thespaceshot.com or text or call the podcast hotline 720-772-7988. Please ping me if you'd like to ask or record a question for a future episode. Once this upcoming 5-part series wraps up, I'm thinking about recording a listener request and question show, but I need questions and requests to do that. Thanks for listening. I'm John Molnix, and I'll catch you on the flip side.